Thank you. Thank you for coming. Today's webinar, Challenging Situations in Dementia Care, putting together the pieces of the puzzle. And it is a puzzle with a lot of pieces, more than the 6 that we're looking at. If you look at it as each one of those having more individual pieces, but with all of us coming together and putting our heads together and our hearts, we can go a long way. I wanted to start by thanking the sponsors today. So the Administration for Community Living, Catholic Charities Hawaii, Circle of Care for Dementia, and Hale Ku'ike for making today's webinar possible. The Positive Approach to Care, which is a national and international organization founded by Teepa Snow, works to really change how we look at and approach helping and supporting and uplifting someone who's living with dementia in our lives, whether it's personally or professionally. And so that's the certification that I have as a trainer, and also it is the philosophy that we use at Hale Ku'ike where I work, and Hale Ku'ike is a Positive Approach to Care designated organization as well. So all of the webinars that I've done so far, it's all incorporating not just my personal experience, both and professional experience, but this specific training method. But we want to really recognize, especially in this second workshop that we're doing around challenging behaviors or challenging situations, that the person who's living with dementia really is doing the best that they can with the changes that's going on in their brain. And we are the ones with the healthy brains. And so we can look at what we can change. And that's going to be, whether it's ourselves or the surroundings, those are going to be the 2 focuses for today's webinar. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to look at what the heck are these things that's called challenging behaviors, because for each of us, of all the people logged into this webinar right now, what's a challenging behavior will be a little bit different. There's for sure going to be a lot of commonalities, but each one is going to be a little different. And what's making these situations happen? Why is this happening? And why is it happening again and again and again? So we're going to look at these. We're going to break it down into 6 major pieces of the puzzle. And then we're going to look at those pieces and look at where can we have a positive influence? What can we control and what can't we? And when we recognize what we can't, how do we deal with that? Because it is hard to recognize when something is out of your control and to come to acceptance on that. And the 2 specific pieces that we're going to look at the most closely in this workshop, which were mentioned in the original Challenging Behaviors workshop, are number 4 and 5, which are the stakeholders, which is who's in the life, who's in the orbit of this person that we're trying to support living with dementia, and what's happening in the environment. What is the environment like? That's today's real focus, where we're going to dig deeper. So I want to stop for a moment and have everybody think to yourself, when you signed up for this webinar, and it says the words challenging situations, which ones pop to your mind? What kind of things are you thinking of? It could be from your personal experience. For me, my grandmother who helped raise me, had Alzheimer's disease, and my father had vascular stroke-related dementia, and my father-in-law had Parkinson's-related dementia. And so each of them, the kind of crises, problems, and behaviors that came up were slightly different. But so for yours will be unique as well. So here is a little bit of a laundry list that some of these, I'm not going to read all the bullet points, but you can see by taking a look at it, there's a lot of things that I'm sure you could check off if you had this as a printout, losing important things, making 911 calls, paranoid or delusional thinking. So not every person who's living with dementia would have all of these necessarily, and, or they might have change over time over their journey of living with dementia, but these are very common experiences and challenges. And I want to pause for a moment and look at the language that we're going to be using today. So you can see this says examples of challenging situations. Most often, these are referred to as examples of challenging behaviors. So when I say challenging behaviors, who am I putting the blame on for this challenge? That person right there is living with dementia. She just keeps losing these things. She just keeps, she has a challenging behavior. I'm going to pause for a moment and let's step back, and we're going to make it inclusive. We, the person living with dementia, is definitely having a challenge, but so are we. Together, we are having a challenging situation. And when we can step away from the judgment and finger pointing and thinking that it's all about them and their dementia and their ordinary personality or whatever it is, and take a step back. We're really in this together. So we're going to look at these challenging situations, see what's happening and how we can move forward together. So with that in mind, we're going to start with, and I think I use this slide in like every single workshop, the relationship is the most critical part. Not the outcome of this one encounter, whether it's for better or worse, whether you get me to take my medicine or not, our relationship is what's the most important. So we start from there and recognizing that we, you, me, professionals, everybody in this person's life are the key to make life worth living. And people living with dementia are really and truly doing the best they can, even when the best they can is frankly terrible. So, but it's important to recognize that they can't help what's happened, the disease process that's happened in their brain and is still happening and will continue to change things. So we have to be willing to step back and really look at ourselves and start the change with us. So why is this so difficult for those involved? By those involved, I mean the person living with dementia and us. It's, most often when people think about dementia, they think about memory loss, and that's like the main focus a lot of the time. But it's really more than just memory loss. It affects all the cognitive function in different ways with different people, but it's not just about not being able to remember. Judgment changes, visual field awareness changes. Oh, so many things change, and those things added all together make completing very, very simple tasks can be very, very difficult. And it's difficult for us as care partners, those trying to support the person, and it's because it can change. It can be a little different morning to night or even day to day sometimes, and it's progressive. It's unfortunately more and more of the brain dies over time. It's a degenerative brain. Diseases causing dementia, and unfortunately it's not reversible. But that does mean it's not something that we can help and support and still make life better for the person that we love so much. So here's where we're going to look at these 6 pieces. So those of you who attended the Challenging Behaviors workshop are familiar with these 6. We're going to look at the person, who they are, who they've been, what their general health outlook is, what's happening with their brain, what kind of dementia they have, stakeholders, who's around them, how to approach, how the stakeholders behave, what's in the environment, and then time of day. So honestly, it's a lot. It's a lot. But through these, and I really commend all of you for coming today, and for whether you've come to past ones or looked at videos of either my past ones or other presenters in the Catholic Charity series. Take it little bites at a time to try and put these puzzle pieces together, because what we want to look at when we're looking at each one to figure out where we can have an influence and hopefully a positive influence, and where influence is a lot harder. And sometimes, we might find ourselves beating our heads against and really like clawing at an area that we can't change. So we're going to kind of look really closely at those 6 pieces. We're going to look closely at the environment, the setting, the sights, the sounds. We have looked at in the past webinar how the whole day fits together. Where do we fit into that to making the day have engagement and purpose, and how the people who are helping them, whether it's us or professional caregivers or anyone, frankly, how we approach makes a difference. And then On the side that we don't have a lot of influence over is, in terms of changing it, is who they are, who they've always been. You know, I'm living with dementia. I am who I was, but I'm different, but I still am who I was. And that is not going to change. And the type of dementia I have, if I have Alzheimer's disease, I wish we could wave a magic wand and take that away, but we can't. And so figuring out how to move forward, acknowledging that. And I probably have other medical conditions if I'm 90. So how does that affect, well, what's going on? So to look more closely, we're gonna, these top three of the 6 pieces of the puzzle, these are a little more details. You can see they're in white as opposed to the bottom 3 are in gray. So the person, the fitness, the brain change, that's the part where it's important to know, and we help support their fitness and wellness. We want to know about where they are in their journey with dementia, but how much we're able to turn the dials on those things? Probably not a lot. We're kind of looking at maintenance for the most part for health and wellness, you know, when someone is, especially someone older adults. But the bottom 3 that are in gray are where we have much more opportunity to make positive changes for the person that we care for and for ourselves as well, because we're in this together. No one's an island on this. So I want to take a quick look, looking at these 6, at what, you know, we've been dissecting this, whether it's consciously or not, through all these webinars, you know, with the normal versus not normal activities. You kind of see I've slapped on these different webinars that touch on these pieces. The first one of this year was about activities, where we really looked into, you know, how we fill the day. You know, what is it? Idle hands are devil's play space. I forget how that quote goes, but you know, when nothing's going on, I'm going to fill my time somehow, and it's probably not how you want me to. And so, but these 2 stakeholders in the environment, I did talk briefly about them in the Challenging Behaviors webinar, but we haven't really had a chance to dig in together on it. And so that's what I really hope to do today together with you. So here, yeah, I highlighted those 2. Those are the 2 that we're going to go deep into. So we're going to look closely first at the stakeholders. So you can give yourself a little hug. You are number 1, you are here today. You are taking the first, or probably first of many steps in gaining more knowledge about a changing brain, and moving my cursor around on the screen, and hands-on dementia skill training. I really commend you for taking the time out to come here to try and learn more, because we can't do better if we don't know. You know, certainly for myself, and especially with my grandmother's case, because she was the first person I ever knew who was living with dementia, and none of us in our family knew anything about dementia. We thought this was, you know, she's old, she's senile. What are you going to do about that? You know, if I just keep telling her, she's going to remember, right? We just didn't know, so we couldn't do better. So, but it's not just you. Everyone who interacts with someone living with dementia is part of this stakeholders group. Everyone around, if you think of it as like a planetary orbit, everybody who's in the current relationship with person living with dementia. You'll see that acronym there, PLWD. We use that term, a person living with dementia, because they are a person first. The dementia is not first. I'm someone living with dementia, not demented. So that's how people living with dementia want to be called also. So we will look at the history. We're going to look hard at ourselves and try to look at the others in the group, in the orbit as well, and kind of take a objective look and see what kind of help we can get in improving this stakeholders piece of the puzzle, whether it's through changes in ourselves and expectations, and others. With the environment, we're going to look hard at everything around the person. So you are all sitting in a certain environment right now. And there are these 4 F's and 4 S's. Does it feel friendly, familiar, functional, forgiving? And the 4 S's there. Those apply to us as well. So in this very moment, your space might feel fantastic, or there might be something about it that's not so great. And we're going to look closely at that as it pertains to the person living with dementia. So let's start with the stakeholders, the 4th piece of the puzzle. Who is it? Here's where that piece of paper I asked you to have handy. Take out your paper and pen or pencil. I still love pencils. And take a moment to think and just kind of jot it down, scribble. There's not homework or anything. You can scribble on a napkin if you want to. Who are the people around this person living with dementia? If you're in a home environment, of course, there might be family members, or there might be in-home caregivers that come in. But think of all the other people in the orbit, the male person who comes every day, the neighbors, any other kind of any other people that comes in contact. We're all part of this. So this is the really takes a village thing. So take a moment and scribble all that down. If you're a professional caregiver, don't think past what would be traditionally thought of as the caregivers. We call them caregivers, and usually in long-term care settings. So the CNAs and the RNs. Who else is in that person's life on a possibly daily, or any, the family members come in, but who else? Housekeeping, dining, other residents. So think about that and jot that down and hold on to that paper because we're going to use it later. So we're looking at stakeholders with regard specifically to challenging situations. So we're the ones that are in it together with them when those challenges pop up. When they really reach this high level here, like, oh my God, it's a crisis. What are we going to do? Sometimes this level crisis involves calling the ambulance, right? Sometimes this level crisis involves, unfortunately, calling the police. This is the level of crisis we want to try to avoid. So if you put your hand up here like this, I'm all for moving kinesthetic learning. So here we are, like, oh my God, bring it down here. It doesn't start up here. It moves up. So if we start down here, often we miss the early signals. And if it's not beyond just annoying, we tend to ignore it because, my God, we're busy and we're stressed, and as a professional, I've got these other residents I need to attend to. So if this person is just, let's say, pacing a little more than, that's not bothering anybody, I'm going to ignore it. We wait and see if it gets worse. It increases our stress level, we worry. And when do we intervene? When it's up here. So we want to kind of take a step back and look at how our role can influence to help prevent or at least mitigate the escalation. Maybe it's still going to go up to here, but if we recognize it early enough, but not to here, because once our brains are on fire, and for me, the person living with dementia, this is a life and death situation. All you're trying to do is shower me, but I think you're trying to kill me. It's hard to come down from that. It really is. Like when we ourselves are in that situation, it's hard for our brains to relax as well. So we want to really try not to get into, this is where we have the choice. And this is a choice that I didn't know I had with my grandmother. Number one, arguing. So, I personally did a lot of correcting, like, no, today is not the day for senior citizens, the Senior Citizens Club. It's Saturday, Grandma. No, it's only Monday to Friday. Reasoning, arguing. All you're going to be doing is this. You're not going to be able to win that argument. I don't know if any of you have ever, managed to win that kind of argument with someone who's living with dementia, but it just is a heartbreaking experience on both sides. Even when you do manage to get somebody to begrudgingly agree, honestly, both are still losers in that situation. It's really, really hard. Ignoring problem behaviors we talked about. Trying something only once. We're going to talk about that more. It's possible. Just keep making adjustments. Giving up, there's nothing I can do. And these last two, letting them do whatever they want to do, forcing them to do something. Those are two extremes. There is a middle ground. There is a middle ground. Sometimes it's hard to find, it can be challenging to find it, but there is a middle ground, and we're going to look into that. So the first step, this is what you're doing now, building skills, building knowledge and skills, remembering who has a healthy brain. And we're going to talk about your brain because we want to keep it healthy, because someone in this relationship has to have a healthy brain. Because if we're both not having fully functioning brains, how are we going to get through this? And again, believing, truly believing people who are living with dementia are doing the best they can at any given moment. So here's where we start. Change begins with ourselves. And we talked about on that little piece of paper, you wrote all these people who are involved in the person's life, but that includes you. So, and we have the most influence over ourselves. There's a limit to what we can influence others in terms of their beliefs, in terms of what they do and how they do it. We can't make people, the other stakeholders, there's a limit to that, but for ourselves. So I'm going to have you hold up your hand and look in the mirror. We're going to do, take a deep breath and take a look and learn to recognize we call them uh-ohs, like, uh-oh, that didn't go the way I meant it to be, because you're going to make mistakes. And I almost hesitate to even call them mistakes. You're going to get into these, you're trying something. Most often you're trying to help, and you really love and mean well to help, but it blows up in your face. Take a step back, learn to recognize those uh-ohs, like, instead of keeping on pushing, like, stop what you're doing, back off, rethink, think about what we can change, and then try again. Sometimes trying again might mean someone else trying instead of you. Depends on the relationship, and maybe you're not the right person for this exact thing. And the last one is most important, forgiving yourself, because you're gonna make this. I'll call them mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna feel like, oh my God, I screwed that up, or I didn't mean to hurt them, whether emotionally or accidentally, physically. I was just trying to help her up, and a big piece of skin came off her arm. I've had that happen with my grandmother, for example. Their skin is so thin, and you just feel terrible. Take a deep breath. Forgive yourself. You're only human. Now you know, and you know better, so you can do better. So that's the thing. So give yourself the grace that you want to give to the person that you're caring for, of their mistakes. No, you can't do it alone. No one person can care for someone 24/7 without additional support for the long journey of dementia. It is too much. You need support for you. You need to get help. So looking at that list of people and the stakeholders, this is your initial pool. There are more people than are on that piece of paper on there. You just haven't thought of them yet or found them yet. But as early as possible in the disease process, from when you start noticing changes to whether it's from the first diagnosis, to start to build that care team. So it's not just you, and the team, not just to help with this person that you're caring for, but to help you. If you're the primary care partner, both of you equally need help. Learning more also involves checking out what the options are, whether it's daycare, home care. You might not need these, and with working with the different pieces of the puzzle and making adjustments, there are ways to extend. If staying at home is the priority, to be able to extend that and to have a great quality of life at home. But it's good to know what's out there just in case, because I can tell you from my work in a long-term care setting, if having to think about it when there's the crisis, someone has fallen, broken a hip, now went to the hospital, is in rehab, and is being discharged on Friday, and it hasn't been looked at yet or thought about, or just family decisions made. It's really, really hard. So planning ahead, because planning ahead for changes, because it's not if it's going to change. Things are good now. We're going to keep on like this. Great. But looking ahead to know what changes are possible in this journey of dementia, and making plans for it, because things will happen. And acting before there's a crisis, and also for yourself, because your mental health, your physical health is as important as the person that you're caring for. You need to set limits for yourself and care for yourself, because this is a marathon and not a sprint. So getting everyone together as much as possible to help you is really important. And I'm sure you've heard that message before. And I know from my own family personalities, my mother's, for example, and I know I've inherited that, which is I don't need help. I can do this myself. I'm a very strong person, been through a lot. I don't need to ask help from other people. And I remember my mother in medical crises turning to me and saying, like, why did you have these people here? You're strong, you can do it. And we often, I was like, oh my God, no, I do need help. But that gets us through a lot. But when it comes to supporting this person that we're living with dementia, caregiver burnout is real. Your health and mental health can really suffer and lead to real physical problems without help. So, and I understand that it is really, really hard to ask for help, really hard, and it's really hard to accept help because, frankly, other people don't know how to do it right. So we'll talk about that, but first, the very first step is recognize that help is not a negative thing. It is not a reflection of you not doing a good job or being a good daughter or son or husband or wife. It doesn't lessen you in the least. In fact, I think it's a sign of strength to be able to have that self-awareness and to ask and to value yourself, to be able to recharge yourself so that you can really come back and be present again with the person that you love and are caring for. Because when a person's dementia gets really big, like we're along the journey, it's overwhelming and it's all you see. And when you're up close, it's all you see. But when you step away and have some time away, then you can come back and be able to see the person again, the real person that you love. But when you're in the thick of it with the 24/7, it's really, really hard to do that. So I can't stress that enough. This is another hard one for us. There's just no way around it. It's because it keeps changing. There's a lot of our brains naturally want it to be how it used to be, or how it should be, or even how I should be. Like I should, as a daughter, I should be better at that. I should have known that she wouldn't like this, or I should have. We're going to have to, if you make your hand like this, take a deep breath and let it go. Let it go. You'll have those thoughts. It's okay. Well, she used to be able to find the bathroom, but now she can't. Coming to grips with that, it's not an easy thing. But so in that looking in the mirror, you're going to take a look at things that you're good at and things that you're not so good at. And it's okay to be not so good at things. Sometimes being not so good at might be one of your primary responsibilities in caregiving, but we'll look at that too. But and you're going to want to look at what all those people on your little piece of paper are good at and not so good at, because we're all not good at everything. There are things that we're much better at and things that are just really hard for us, or we just don't have the skill set for, or maybe there's something in the relationship that might be broken or dysfunctional that makes us not possible to be able to do these things with the person that we love. We want to be able to look at who can help and how they can help, and finding what the priorities are, real priorities for the quality of life of this person living with dementia, not just the priorities of life for me. So, putting those two things together. And to recognize, you know, it is true on the professional level too. Caring for someone living with dementia is a real specialty kind of caregiving. It is really, really hard. And if it's not a good match, bringing in the support to help you doesn't mean that you're not still involved as a caregiver. Not everyone is meant to be that direct caregiver. And so we have to find a way to get the right support team. So here's where I would like you to get your paper out again. And I want to, before you start writing, it says here, take a moment to jot down 2 things that you're good at. This is supporting the person living with dementia in your life, and 1 thing you might not be good at. The reason I put 2 things and then 1 thing is our human nature has a kind of a 2-side to duality of how we look at things. Sometimes if we're asked to self-reflect, sometimes all we can see is the negative about ourselves, like, oh God, I'm just not very good at, I can't cook anything that she likes, and I just can't keep the house clean, and it's becomes easy, kind of a negative spiral of thinking of things that we just are not doing right. Or it can be really hard because it's kind of threatening to look at those things. It's like, I'm doing everything I can, I couldn't do more. Everything's good. That's another kind of self-defense mechanism. Everything is good. So just don't write down more than 1 thing you think you might not be good at this point. Just 1 thing, but put 2 things to celebrate that you really feel good and confident about of those things. So you can take a moment to do that. I've been yammering on, so you have a little bit of time to write that down about yourself. Just 1 second here. Okay, then I'd like you to take a look at that stakeholder list. And is there someone on that list who might be good at that thing you wrote down that you're not so good at? Maybe there's not. And then this is something you're not so good at that you're recognizing you could use some help and support with. Maybe you need to go outside that list that you wrote. But take a look and think about it. You might not come to you right away, but this is a kind of homework that you can take with you to think about a place to start. So again, small, bite-sized, manageable pieces to try and work with those whole 6 pieces of the puzzle. This is just 1 small thing to be able to recognize an area that is not your highest skill set that you could use help with, and who can help you with that. Okay. I'm going to pause here on the stakeholders part, and we're going to take a shift towards the environmental piece. So when we're looking at the environmental piece, I want everybody to kind of take a look at where you are right now. So I'm actually sitting in my home. Of course, it is, because I set this up, friendly, familiar, functioning, forgiving, for the most part. Yes, some parts aren't as functional as they could be. Is the space, do I like how the space feels? I don't feel too boxed in. Are the sensations good? Is it not too hot, not too cold? Those are just examples. The surface is right. Is this chair comfortable? Do I like who's around me? The social scene, are there too many people or not enough? Am I lonely? All those things come together. When one of these things is off for us, now we're thinking about for us, how does that make us feel? So let's just look at the social one, for example, like for myself, if this is even pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, if it's too crowded, if there's too many people in a space, even if there's plenty of room, I am just not so comfortable. I like smaller settings, smaller, and I just it just makes me feel less. I don't get anxious that way. Sensation-wise, lucky I live in Hawaii because I don't like to be cold. So when I'm in places that are super air conditioned, if I don't have a way to relieve that, that's all that's in my brain. That's like, God, I wish I had a jacket. So these factors influence how we behave in the space. And so we're going to look closely at these. So we're looking at what is, this term has been around for a little while, dementia-friendly environments, but it's really human-friendly environments for someone who's living with dementia, because my sensory awareness is changing, my skill level is changing, and so my environment needs to change as well to be set up for success and to be very forgiving of mistakes, such as incontinence, for example. So physical surroundings can work well, or they can pose really great challenges, both at home and long-term care settings. You know, it goes everywhere. Anywhere a person living with dementia is living, there can be challenges that are either made better or worse for the environment. So and each area of our surroundings has a purpose, whether it's, again, work, long-term care, home, kitchen and dining, bedroom, toilet and bathroom, gardens, each has a different purpose. And so how do we set up the environment to be supportive of those purposes? So in the kitchen, preparing food, finding food, eating, going to the relaxing, rest and restoration in the bedroom, sleeping, going to the bathroom. Of course, that's a big one, because that's an area that is a great source of what people would call challenging behaviors, challenging situations. We're going to focus on that one a lot in this environmental. And the gardens. We're all human beings. We need to move and we need to go outside. Being stuck inside is, as we all know from the pandemic especially, even when we weren't so stuck inside before, we've all been inside a lot more than we probably like. It's hard on our mental health, and that will affect behavior. So just being able to go outside, whether on my own or someone takes me, is a huge environmental factor. Lighting, assistive technology, having a place where you can just relax, because and just let things go. Yeah, maybe that's the bedroom, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's the garden, but but purposefully having a place that I can relax, and being very conscious of noise levels. We're going to talk about that one a little bit more, because when you're in the environment yourself, it's hard to be aware of what the noise is, because you're living it too. So we'll look at how we can take a look at that. So this is a picture from Halikuike. It's our Bayside location, but you can kind of see it incorporates a lot of these things. And this link down at the bottom, it's a UK site, which I really thought was great. So they go, but I would suggest going to it and reading more about each of these areas. I think they did a great job writing up options, and there's little short videos on there as well, especially for home adaptations. And of course, they have lovely British accents. Okay, so the environment. So we're all in this environment together. We talked about that relationship, but we want to try and see the environment from the perspective of the person living with dementia. So that means trying somehow to get into their bodies, their eyes, and their brains to understand, are they seeing what you think they're seeing? Are they noticing what you want them to notice? And if they do they know what it is and what to do with it? Because if the answer is no to any of these, then there's sometimes very severe consequences. If I can't find the toilet, I'm going to go somewhere, right? So, and if the answer is no, what can we make adjustments to? So I want to start with, so those of you who have been to webinars with me before, is one of the things I want to focus on the visual, because it's something that works well with this webinar format. But what someone is living with dementia is seeing, noticing or not noticing. So with advancing dementia, the peripheral awareness of people changes. So it becomes very much tunnel vision. So if you take your hands and kind of make goggles like this, or even binoculars like this, and if you're at home, or so anywhere, just kind of look around your environment and notice what you see or don't see, right? Like if you're looking for a door, take a look at the door. How noticeable is it, right? Just kind of see, and then take off those goggles and look around and kind of see what's different. So what's happening is, as my dementia is progressing, my brain is shrinking and dying. I'm having trouble. My eyes are seeing the same things it always saw, but I just can't process that much data. So my brain is trying to help me and focus on what's most important, which is this center visual field, So the hard thing about that is I look the same on the outside. I'm wearing my glasses. You think I see all of this. Like, of course I'd notice where the bathroom door is. It's right there. Well, if you put those goggles back on and kind of look for it, it might not be as noticeable as you think. So taking that time to try this exercise in the environment where this person is. Let's say the challenging situation you're facing is someone, let's say twofold. Everything has these dualities with things that people call challenging behaviors, like I won't get dressed, or I keep taking my clothes off when you don't want me to, right? Or I keep wanting to go out the door, or I won't go in. I'll go through any door, but not the one you want. I'm not finding the one you want me to. There's always these kind of flip sides, which makes it a little bit harder. But to try and remember to think about what the goal is that you want to help this person with. In this case, for this slide, we're looking at doors. You want to highlight what you want the person to notice and minimize or remove from view what you don't want the person to focus on. But that's not necessarily hiding, like putting a big drape over a door, for example, but there's little ways that you can just make it less standy outy. And so we have some examples here. So this one here, this door on the left is a door at Halikuike. So you can see, and this is how most homes are set up. I'm looking at my own door here at home, very similar. It's a dark door with a lighter frame and wall. Generally, that's how things are painted, because doors are things you want to find. You want to be able to find them easily, whether at all times. So think for a moment about what kinds of rooms you want to have this high contrast in. If you are not able to and I'm not suggesting repaint your whole house or anything like that, but to think about the purpose. So this door happens to be a bedroom door. And that little sign on the door would be where the resident's name and picture would go, because I want them to know, here's a door, there's something on it, there's a picture. It's like a bullseye. I want the person to find this door and hopefully find the right one, but it's okay if they don't find the right one. But other doors might be ones you want to draw less attention to. So this picture here on the left with the gray, this one is just off of like Pinterest as an example. But so it's a real color scheme technique. It's not just for people living with dementia. People do paint their walls and doors a single color to give like kind of makes it look a little more a broad sweep of color, and maybe makes the room look a little bigger. So it is a real technique. But it also, with my little changing vision, as I'm scanning the room like this, the door just doesn't jump out at me. So if that's the exit that I'm always trying to go out, that might be a nice thing. I mean, I might still find it, but it might cut down on the amount of time that someone has to intervene for me to redirect me from the door or things like that. This door on the right here, this is a door at Halikuike. So you can see this is an exit door. There's a magnetic lock up there, so it's a keypad lock, but you can see the wainscoting on the side and the wall continues through the door. So the doorknob is visible. There's a big exit sign up there. It's clear it's a door to you and me. But in terms of our residents living with dementia, it's a little, it blends in with the flow of the wall. It's because this exit door is not the first door we want you to focus on, whether it's when you're trying to find your room, or if you are looking for an exit. It's even though it's locked, we want to try and not highlight or minimize it. So this goes for not just doors, because there are other things in the environment that you might want to minimize or remove from view. An example is in our long-term care setting, we have those type of business phones, which sits on the table, big fat kind of old school phone. And, so we've over the years definitely had certain residents who, see a phone, use a phone. That's how that's how it works. If I see it, I gotta call my daughter, or I gotta call, yeah. But if I don't see the phone, that might not be the first thing that comes to mind. Or if I'm looking for a phone, but I don't see it right away, that's our opportunity for me as the person who has the relation with them to, I'm looking for the phone. Oh, you're looking for the phone. Can I help you with something? And to be able to help them in that moment and help them move to a different place and space and be doing something else to take their mind off that for a moment. But if the phone is visible, so back to my example of the phone at Halikwike, when we have that someone who's fixated on using the phone, a couple simple things that we do is either tuck the phone a little under the desk so it's just not quite visible, or sometimes even just draping a napkin over it, which when you walk by, you're like, why is that napkin on there? It looks kind of fun. We notice it right away, but it just kind of visually takes it out of the view, and it's not recognized right away by the person who's living with dementia, and they're able to move on to something else or to someone else who can help them in that moment, because they have a need that's being unmet in that moment for the reinsurance, calling the daughter, or not feeling safe and they want to call the police, and we can help meet in that moment. Okay. So minimize and highlight. So this is where I want to focus on the bathroom, because both in long-term care settings and at home, the bathroom is a source of a lot of challenging situations, even just finding the bathroom. So as my dementia is progressing, I might have trouble finding the bathroom, even in my own house that I've lived in for 40 years, 50 years. Like, where'd you put the bathroom? What are you talking about, Bob? I didn't move. How could I move the bathroom? So you're going to start to try and reason with me. So take a step back. I can't find the bathroom. There's a reason why I can't find it. I'm not stupid. My brain, my wayfinding in my brain is broken. That map I used to have in my head, it's just not there anymore. Maybe I'm thinking the map in my current map in my head might be my childhood home, or it might be just no map at all. I'm just a little unmoored here. I just can't find it. And no amount of showing me where it is over and over again is going to make me remember it. And it's really, really hard. So how can we help a person find it? Because remember, what I see is what I know, and what I see is quite limited in terms of my field of active vision. So I need cues. So one cue is one to have it be not hidden in some way. So like if your bathroom door, if your house is like the other slide where the bathroom door, where the doors and walls are all the same color, and it happens to be that the bathroom door is one of those, that might be kind of hard to find that door, even though it's obvious to you. So let's say we have a door that has contrasting colors. Is this a bathroom or is it a different kind of room? In this case, this is a bedroom. So if I were a resident wandering around and I got to go in that door, maybe I might think it's the bathroom. It actually has a bathroom in it, but that's a different thing. But what kind of visual cues can you help me with to help me know that this is the bathroom? Because when I start having trouble finding the bathroom and I'm having accidents in other places, or maybe using other things as a toilet, it just seems so bewildering. It's like, oh my God, how could she think that's the bathroom? How, it's just flabbergasting for us, because it just, how can someone make such an egregious mistake? So remember, what I see is what I know. So if I'm looking for the bathroom, sometimes, especially in the early edging towards middle stages of the journey, a sign can help. There's a lot of sign putting up in the early stages of helping someone living with dementia. But I like this example of a sign because, of course, it has a word, and you can use any word. The word you want to use is what? Whatever word the person living with dementia uses to go to the bathroom. So if I say, oh, I'm looking for I want to go to the toilet, or I want to go benjo, or I want to go to Lua, whatever, I would use that word, what the word that works for them, and a picture. So an image. So maybe my reading skills, the vocabulary part of my brain is not doing so well. I might see the word, I might say the word toilet, but I'm not able to put together what that is, because that part of my brain is just not working so well. So a picture might be helpful too. So it's worth a shot. But the other is, if it's possible to have the door be open, a wide open door with a toilet just like staring you in the face, that's also a visual cue. So kind of looking at so we're tying that the challenging behavior is not being able to find the bathroom. I know for those who work in long-term care, there's a lot of other rooms that you want the person to find. Like I want them to find their own room. I want them to find the dining room. That's fine. Take a step back. I can't do better without something changing. So help me find my way. Whether it means someone has to escort me, that might be the only way I can find it if these things don't work. But what are think for yourself for a moment. Are there other rooms that I have trouble finding that you might be able to put visual cues on in some way to help me be able to connect the purpose of the space? And I might be surprised every time I get to it. Oh, this is the bedroom? Really? When did that? Oh, okay. It's okay. But you've helped me put it together. So again, we're going to get into their bodies, see through their eyes, but not just see with their eyes, but to see it with their brains. I love this first picture. Where is the toilet? Why is it so hard to find? If you look at this, even this on the screen, if you look at it with this kind of a tunnel vision, and you don't look at everything else on the screen here, maybe with one eye, it really is lost in the sea of white. If I'm having trouble seeing things that don't stand out, how many things are white in this picture? Of course, the toilet, the little toilet booster hand holders, the handrails, right? The toilet paper, everything is white, and that means nothing stands out. I don't know what's what. What else is often white in a bathroom? Towels. So what if this towel rack had a little white hand towel sitting there, right? In this picture, you see it's a little gray hand towel here, but what if that was a white hand towel? And I'm sitting on the toilet and I'm looking for toilet paper, which is what color generally? White, right? I'm really doing my best I can in that moment. I want to get cleaned up, right? Again, I'm not stupid. I'm really, really trying my best. And I grab a towel instead of the toilet paper, right? And then I have it on my hands because you can't clean up properly. Maybe I clog the toilet with that towel. And now I have BM on my hands, and I'm trying to get it off, right? And I just can't find the right things for the job. And I'm like wiping it on everything. And you come into this scene, and I've come into this scene both at work, but at home too. It's like, oh my God, what is going on? How could you have used the towel to wipe? What are you doing? You have BM all over your. It's just, of course, you have all the awareness, and you have all the gag reflex. My sense of smell, of processing smells, is not working properly, so I'm not fazed by the smell of BM anymore. But you are, and all your alarm bells are going off. Like, oh my God. And I get, I've heard people say, someone is painting, the long-term care people, I know you've heard this term, oh, she paints with her BM. Don't take a time out on that. Paints the walls with her BM. I'm trying to get cleaned up. And my environment is not making it clear to me. It's clear to you, but it's not to me. I really am trying my best. I'm not trying to make life harder for you. I really am having a hard time, and I need help to be able to manage this, because it's clear I can't understand anymore. So I'm going to pause and take a look. So we're going to take a look at the bathroom. What things can we do to make what the target is you want me to see? Number one target in the bathroom, the toilet, right? So how can you make the toilet stand out? So again, like I said, you don't have to paint your house or refloor your floor. There's colored toilet seats that you can get. You know, it might not be your idea of perfect decor for your house, but you want the person to hit the toilet, especially men. You know, you want them to be able to see the toilet and use it. But to find the toilet, like if this cover were red and the sea of white, would you be able to see it? Yeah, this bathroom is super dark, so the toilet paper stands out well. But if this were one of those kind of wooden toilet seats, those wooden style toilet seats, we wouldn't be able to see it either. So high contrast. This toilet is a Halekwike toilet, and you can see there's contrast between the color of the toilet and the wall, and contrast between the floor. So when you're looking down at it, there's a little, it's a high contrast, so you can see. So there are things you can do to try and that make the toilet stand out in that moment. So using is this a toilet? It sure looks like one. So I'm seeing things, and I think I know what I'm seeing, but I'm actually mistaking it for something else. So object recognition. So this is one of the skills our brain has. So we're able to pick up a bingo chip and know that it's not a piece of candy. It's you and me, and we're not going to eat it, right? Because we can recognize what it is. I can pick up a fork and know that it's not my hairbrush or comb. It's not a comb. It's similar, right, to a comb. The bingo chip is similar to, especially they're bright colored. It looks like a delicious chip or something. But when it comes to the toilet, a lot more things look like a toilet than you and I think. So this is that same old Halekwike toilet you saw there. And this is a standard trash can, which is about the height of the toilet, maybe a little bit shorter, white, round, in the same room. This trash can was in the, these are pictures of the staff bathroom at Halekwike. So in the staff bathroom, there's a toilet, and then there's this trash can that looks a lot like the toilet. So if I were a resident, for someone living with dementia going in and had trouble with object recognition and had very narrow vision, and this second one was the first one I saw, is it beyond the stretch of imagination that I might use that one? No, not really. In the resident rooms, this is not next to the toilet. This is tucked away under the sink area, actually, where it's usable, but not obviously to be mistaken for a bathroom. Not all people living with dementia would make this mistake, but it's an honest mistake. I mean, that's the thing. I have to use the bathroom, and I'm trying to find it, and I found it. You think I made a mistake, but I didn't. I found it, and I have had. I've known. I've come across a situation where I found someone squatting using a conference room trash can as a toilet. You know what? They hit it. They did it. They found it. Of course, we're going to get them cleaned up. But if I had run in and said, "Oh no," it's not, and they stood back up, what's going to happen? It's going to be. But I just have to commend this person. Had a need. They did their best to find the right place to do it. The right place just wasn't as obvious to them as we thought it was. And so we need to recognize that it's not their problem. She found a toilet, and it was up to us to make some changes to help accommodate that. This next one here, this potted palm here, maybe this is the toilet. Also, maybe this is a urinal, and especially for men. So from childhood all the way up through the end of life, men pee standing up. And so anything that might look like a toilet, like this trash can or maybe a potted plant, can function as a toilet. And again, with my changing visual field abilities, with my object recognition. Also, lucky men, they can and do pee outside against a tree. This is a tree, so again, the person had recognized they had to go to the bathroom and tried to find the right place. This happens really, it's pretty common. So what can we do? What changes can we make so that they can find the right place? Maybe they need assistance finding the right place. And how can we change the environment so that these kind of fake toilets aren't just out there waiting to be used? So the other thing I want you to look at when you start looking around in your environment is to think about contrasting colors. Contrast is your friend. We looked at it with the doors. It's your friend both ways, making things stand out, and the lack of contrast is your friend too, when you kind of want things to blend in. So I just want to include some very simple examples of, here's that same toilet scene in this home. This is one of the UK homes in that website I talked about earlier. They replaced the grab bars with colored grab bars and also hand railings in the home, made them bright color. Red is a really common color that's used in making things high contrast because it stands out from a lot of backgrounds. So which of these bars of soap would you think would be easier to find if you were having trouble with your visual field and object recognition? Which grab bar would you most likely grab? And then these are teacups and saucers from Halikuike. This is Fiesta ware, which is an old pattern, which is what familiar, right? And if you're looking at the cups, and if you kind of looked at them this way, maybe blur your eyes a little, which cup would be easier for you to notice right away and grab? So mixing and matching colors that way, whether it's plate and placemat, or plate and table, or food, not having white plates, but colored plates where the food stands out, helps me to see. And by see, I mean notice what you want me to notice. So that kind of, so it helps you not to have to point it out to me. It's right there. The soap's right there, Mom. It's right there. Where? It seems right there to you. It's sitting there white, but I just can't see it. I can't notice it. So that's where I need your help. One quick thing about soap while I'm on the subject of soap right here. Nowadays, the most common kind of hand soap, and getting someone who's living with dementia to wash their hands and wash their hands effectively, again, during the pandemic, even more important, can be hard. And think about what kind of soap we have mostly now, everywhere, public spaces, long-term care, even at our homes. We have pump soap, right? That's like the standard mostly now, pump soap. Bar soap is more old-fashioned soaps. You still see it, but it's not like before. Like when I was young, it was only bar soap. So a pump soap requires a little more, I wouldn't call it a fine motor skill, but you have to be a little careful. You knock that thing over. You also have to recognize it as soap. And maybe it says soap on the side, but I'm living with dementia. I'm not recognizing that. It's hard for me to know that that's soap. But this here, that is old school soap. I know what that is. So I've had residents who just couldn't instead get it, couldn't understand that this pump soap and how this pump soap works, and we put out a bar soap, and you say, okay, let's get the soap and wash your hands. Oh, no problem. And then think about those of you who grew up with bar soap. How do you use bar soap, right? It actually feels good, right? Take your hands right now and put them together and kind of rub your hands together like this, palm to palm, and you kind of squeeze through the back of your hand, right? Feels good, right? We love palm to palm pressure. We're human beings, we love it. Bar soap feels good. It encourages you to do all these motions and motions that they've done for a really, really long time. So sure, bar soap's a little slippery, it gets things wet and pulls up sometimes. But in terms of the goal, you've helped me through a small change to make the soap visible by having a contrast there, and by using something very familiar to me, enabled me to do a task for myself effectively and maintain my independence. So that's not a small thing. So even small changes can make a huge difference. You just like boosted your infection control for me. So I use the bathroom and I got all that off of me. So when I stick my hand in my mouth, you don't have to worry quite so much. I want to say that to really stress that it's okay for the changes to be small. You don't need to redo a home, top to bottom. It doesn't have to be fancy, super beautiful interior design with, look like a hotel or a resort. I work in a place that looks like that. But for whatever the setting, the changes that you will find and want to try don't have to be big. They can be small, and you don't need to make anything fancy. And some changes don't have to be really expensive, like the soap change, or here's an example of a white light switch with a white plate on a very light background. And let's say I'm having, one of the challenging situations you're having is I'm not turning on the lights and I'm walking around in a dark room and having falls because of that. Maybe I can't notice that light switch. This is just a simple red sticker. This is one of the UK site pictures, put around the plate, or maybe putting a colored plate in. So there's contrast between the plate, the wall, and the switch. It might make a difference, and it's something that might, if I can see it, notice it, and know what it is, maybe I can work it, and then I'll have the lights on. So when you're doing this, especially if it's a home environment where maybe you live there too, you all live together, it's really hard to look objectively at your own familiar environment. I would strongly encourage bringing someone in with a fresh set of eyes to help you take a look at it, and to try and walk through what you're seeing, and just kind of see it. I would even do this. I would walk through it like this to take a look. And also remember that the mistakes, the mistakes that are leading to these challenging situations, they're a form of communication. They're showing you that they're not understanding, or it's clues. They're all clues. So you have to be a really good detective to clues about how they're perceiving their environment. Right. So if I'm peeing in the potted plant, I'm a man, I'm peeing in the potted plant. What I'm telling you is, I know when I have to go to the bathroom, and I'm looking for the right place, but I'm not recognizing this as the right place. I'm finding a place that seems right to me. So they really, really are. It's a form of communication. Challenging, quote unquote, challenging behaviors it's communication, really. So here's where I want you to take your piece of paper and pen or pencil out again. I want you to think about which part of the environment, whether it's at home or long-term care, where are you having frequent challenges with this person, that or you're both having challenges, and what specific kinds of challenges are happening in that space. And you're going to be a detective to take a look without judgment of the environment. And again, get fresh eyes to help you do it. Now, here's where, like the part about noise. When you're standing in the room and looking around, there's all these ambient noises and you're looking and you're looking, maybe you're doing this, you're looking. Noise is something that's really hard to be aware of. And one thing that I found that helps me is if I just take a moment, like let's say the room I'm trying to look at is the dining space. Like, you know, a certain resident is having trouble focusing on eating. We've tried all these things, and they still are, you know, just sit there and do nothing, or maybe it's they get up all the time. What's going on? I might videotape from a distance, just videotape just a couple minutes or so, specifically for the noise question, and then stop and go back and watch it. And I always hear things that I was completely unaware of when I was standing there. Whether it's I'm unaware of how loud other people are talking or something is, you know, it's just amazing how much your brain, our healthy brains can filter out all those background noises. So it seems fine to us. But for me, the person living with dementia, I can't filter those out anymore. So I really do find recording as a way of being like, oh my God, I didn't know those, you know, chickens were so loud, or that TV, I thought it was soft in the background, but it's really quite loud. So I really encourage that. So what I like you to do with that piece of paper I asked you to take out is to take a moment to jot down which part of the environment of the person living with dementia and you would like to look at first. So it could be from that list, like bathroom, bedroom, you know, garden, just like, you know, kitchen, whatever part of the environment you'd like to look at first. Just kind of jot that down. And then I would like you to get even more specific. So if we're looking at the bathroom, for example, which part of the bathroom, so let's say the challenge is around hand washing or toothbrushing. Where does that happen in the bathroom? At the sink. So let's stop. Don't look at the whole bathroom. Remember, small bites, small bites. Look at the sink. Look at it through those goggles. Look at the contrast. So, you know, have you found me trying to brush my teeth with my hairbrush? Are you noticing those two things are sitting side by side on the counter? Okay, I'm having trouble with object recognition. What can you change here? So that kind of thing. So really kind of digging down and starting small. And it's okay for it to be small, because small changes over time really, really add up. And also, it's always nice to have small successes and things too. So I wanted to take a quick look back at the true-false questions you asked in the beginning. So people living with dementia can control their challenging behaviors if they really want to. People living with dementia are doing the best they can with their brains that are slowly dying. They cannot control it. They can't. They're doing the best they can, and trying to get through moment to moment with the environment, the people, you know, all these different, my own other physical ailments, the best they can. So unfortunately, these things that they didn't used to do before, that they are doing now, like let's say it's cursing. We all know curse words. We've known them from when we were young, but we know how to zip it right now because we have intact frontal lobes. When I lose my impulse control, those come out. And it's not because I'm a nasty sailor talking old lady. I have part of my brain is damaged. Challenging situations can't be helped because people living with dementia are so confused. False. So can't be helped can be taken two ways, meaning you can't help them in these challenging situations, or you can't prevent them from happening. Both those cases, challenging situations will always happen, but they can be helped. They can be helped after they happen. They can be helped by, today we focused on environmental and the stakeholder changes that we can make to help prevent and minimize for people. So there are definitely things we can do. It's not just like, oh yeah, they get dementia, they get mean. That's just how it is. No. It's important for caregivers to build a support team for themselves and their loved ones as early as possible. 100%, early as possible, early as possible. It becomes harder if it's just you and the person. as you go through harder and harder, as you get into the very advanced stages, it becomes harder to let a new person in, both for you and the person living with dementia, because they're so stuck on you, like a, I don't know, OP. They follow you everywhere, and you can't even go to the bathroom because there hasn't been anybody else. There's no other relationship formed with anybody else. Start early, build a team. Dementia-friendly environment must incorporate beautiful interior design. Beautiful interior design is wonderful, but it's not what makes a dementia-friendly environment friendly. You can have a beautiful interior design and it be not dementia-friendly. What counts is it usable by me? Is it familiar? Is it forgiving? Do I like how it feels? Do I like the sensations? You know, all those things are what's most important. Environmental changes can help a person living with dementia maintain independence and reduce challenging behaviors. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Yeah. Okay. So I want to thank everyone for coming today and your desire to make a positive difference. Really, all of you together make a huge difference in the lives of people living with dementia. All of the past workshops are available both on the Catholic Charities website, and then there's some that Holly Kwike did that are on our Holly Kwike website. If you want to learn more about the positive approach to care, you can visit tipasnow.com. There are a lot of resources up there and recordings and other kinds of helpful materials on all the 6 pieces of the puzzle. Also, I wanted to share, there is also REACH Community Dementia Caregiving Program available. That stands for Resources Enhancing Alzheimer's Caregiver Help. And if you're a caregiver, I highly recommend this program. It's free, it's 4 training sessions, it's personalized to your needs. And Jody Michon can answer more questions about that, but there's information here. You can call the Senior Intake Hotline or the info at Catholic Charities Hawaii.org.